guys, good day and welcome to Deliverance Ministry. I'm Prophet Deryck Mason. I find it necessary to come and share with you a vision that I had from the Lord. I would have aired it on my morning program at least twice by now, and I thought it fit to make a video to explain to you what I believe the Lord is saying. It all started 2 weeks ago on a Monday night while having a meeting with my team members from our deliverance ministry, and we were discussing what is going on in our age today, what is happening in our time today, and we were talking about vaccines and mandatory and a whole lot of stuff. And one of the things that stood out was that someone would have said that I believe everyone need to hear from God what God is saying to them to make a decision for themselves. And I said right there and then, I believe one of my responsibility is as a prophet to tell people what God is saying, because some people, they are just not skilled in hearing God's voice and they need to hear what God is saying. Yet some people still don't believe when prophets speak. So that night, after our meeting, my wife asked of me, she said, "Deryck, what are you going to pray about in the morning?" It's something that she usually asks of me. And I said, I don't know, I'm going to talk to the Lord about it. And I went and I sat on my bed and I actually said to the Lord, I said, "Lord, our world is full of confusion." Just as he said in previous prophecy, I didn't post up that one on YouTube for many reasons, but I would have put it on WhatsApp. And I said, "Lord, our world is full of confusion. In the midst of all this confusion, you're hearing this, you're hearing that. What are you saying in the midst of all of this?" I am not going to talk to you about anything. I'm not going to pray and intercede about anything, because you're God who spoke to Daniel, you spoke to Elijah, you spoke to Ezekiel, you spoke to Isaiah. You spoke to these guys by dreams and visions, and I want you to speak to me and let me know what you are saying in a dream, in a vision. And I went to bed. I said, I'm going to bed. And that strange feeling came over me to just do that and take up that challenge with the Lord. And I believe that the Lord did give to me a vision. When I went to sleep, a vision came to me where I saw persons just waiting to be served refreshments. They were just there waiting to be served. I just know they were waiting to be served refreshments. And while they were waiting, it seems as though they were waiting to go somewhere, and it appeared to be as a wedding, but they were waiting for someone to bring them refreshments. And I felt as though time was going. In the vision, I felt as though time was going. And it left from that scenario to another scenario where I saw persons putting together a tool like those hook knife to pick fruits, and I personally went and assist them and helped them put together the tools to pick the fruits. And not too far away from them, there was others just teasing and harassing and discouraging from what they were doing. And it felt in that scenario also as though this group of people had somewhere to go also, which is a wedding, but they were picking fruits, and it felt as though time was going. In the vision, I was so conscious of time, and it felt as though time was going. Then it left from that scenario to another scenario where I saw persons actually taking care of vineyards and gardens and landscaping, beautiful flowers. And in every place where there were flowers missing and there were dead flowers, they were being replaced and they were nicely hedged and these things and taken care of by these persons who were taking care of these landscaping, beautiful, beautiful garden and well groomed. And it felt as though this group of people in this scenario also had somewhere to go, and it felt like a wedding, and time was going. And then it left and switched to another scenario where I saw persons having on clothing, but it was not fitting right. Some was too tight, some was too short, and it just, the clothing was all how. And other persons was taking off their clothing to give them to try on and to see if it would fit. But in this scenario, it felt as though time had gone, like it had gone, and they too had a wedding to go to, but time went, it gone. And it left from this scenario to another scenario where I saw the persons that were to take refreshments for the persons that were waiting for refreshments. In the first scenario, they had a vehicle that just was not working right, and it could not have gotten them to the place where they wanted to go to deliver the refreshments. And in that scenario, it felt as though time was like expired or like going. And they too, it felt as though they had a wedding to go to. And while in the vision, I was just aware of time and a wedding. And I got up from the vision with my alarm ringing. My alarm normally go off to awake me to go to the studio on a Tuesday morning. So I got up around 3:30 that Tuesday morning. And as I got up, I sat on my bed and I was wandering off of the vision. And immediately the lights went off, the place went black. As soon as I sat up, the place went black. And I said to myself, current gone, because it like pitch black. As soon as I opened my eye, lights just cut off. And I looked through the window and I saw my neighbor's light on, and I said to my wife, like, current gone, and because the place went black, but I'm seeing my neighbor's light on. And she said, no, I just switched off the light. And the way that it happened, it felt as though suddenly this darkness just came just like that after I popped out of the vision. So like everything in sequence had meaning to it. And I sat there, and immediately I know whose wedding it was. And I guess by now you got the point. I know it indicates the wedding, the marriage feast of the Lord to come, where Christ would be, united with his bride. And that time is coming where he would come to take his bride. And every single scenario, the Lord ministered to me that these are the group of persons that persons can find themselves in every single one of these categories. first scenario, there are persons that are waiting just to be fed. They're not doing nothing, they're not going anywhere. And they are called to this marriage, this wedding feast, and they're just sitting waiting to be fed, waiting to be spoon fed. They're like the church, the bench warmers, and they're not mobile at all. They're not making themselves useful. They're just sitting, and time just going, and that's all they're doing. They're just sitting and warming bench in church. And it left from this scenario to the other scenario where persons was putting together the tools that they had to pick fruits, and while they were doing so, others were at the sideline taunting and discouraging and teasing and hindering and trying to discourage them from what they were doing. But they were focused on putting together this tool to pick fruits. And this category shows that there are persons that are interested in reaping the harvest for the Lord. They are doing what God called them to do. They are utilizing their tools. There's a group of persons like that. They are utilizing what God gave them to do. In every parable that Jesus quoted, especially the one where he called his servants and he gave one 3 talents, he gave one 5, he gave one, somewhere along the line, every man according to his ability. And this group of persons were utilizing the tools. But there are persons on the sideline provoking and hindering and discouraging, and they don't recognize time is going. And they too are invited to the same wedding. Everybody had a wedding to go to, and the time itself felt as though it was just going. And it left from this scenario to the other scenario where I saw persons taking care of this vineyard, nice vineyard, groomed, well nice, beautiful flowers, and they were plowing and trimming and grooming and taking out that which was dead and transplanting and these things. And there are persons who are operating just like in this scenario, where they are taking care of God's business. They are doing God's business diligently. They are being observant. They are putting their hands to the plow, where they are actually grooming and nurturing and trimming and making sure things are in place. They too are doing what God had put in their hands to do, making sure everything don't dry up, making sure the garden is well watered. And there are ministers that are doing just that today. They're making sure God's garden, God's vineyard is well taken care of. And from that scenario, where time was also going, and these persons had a wedding to go to also, it switched to another scenario. And in this scenario is the only scenario I felt as though time has gone. And it's a scenario where persons were giving other persons their garments to try on, and it just was not fitting because what they had on was not right. It was not, somehow it was chaotic. I saw they putting on all different kind of thing and it just not working. And in this scenario, it felt as though time had gone. It was like late. You could have actually feel the atmosphere of the vision, and this is amazing when you're in a vision and you feel everything. You just know this is what God is saying. And it felt as though time has gone. And the understanding that I have about this scenario is that there are persons would be found without a wedding garment. They would be found not ready, but getting ready. In this invitation that was given to us to come to a wedding, we have to be ready for when the bridegroom comes. We cannot be found getting ready. And they were now getting ready and trying on other person's garment. They didn't have their own garments. And the persons that were giving them their garments, what the Lord said to me is that other persons are laboring hard and useless trying to make their experience someone else's experience. For your children, you cannot experience the Lord for your children. Your children have to experience the Lord for themselves. Your wife, your husband have to experience the Lord for themselves. Your friends have to experience the Lord for themselves. You can only share your testimony. You can only show off your garment and say, hey, this is my wedding garment. If you want one, check the tailor. He given it free upon repentance. And you can be found wasting time trying to make your experience somebody else's experience. You cannot save anybody. You simply have to be a light to them so that they may see and glorify God and turn to Him. Your life have to be a testimony to them so that they can realize, hey, I need a garment also, because time is just going. And in this scenario, one can be found just with time expired, trying to save someone when salvation is of the Lord. When it's the Lord that saves from sin. We can't save anybody. We only have to share the gospel. We only have to preach the gospel. They have to believe and they will be saved. When they apply their heart, confess with their mouth the Lord Jesus, so shall they be saved. And the other scenario is where I saw persons taking back refreshments to those that were waiting on refreshments. And I was a bit confused on whether time has gone. It felt as though time was gone or time was running out or near to run out. I'm not sure, but it more felt as though time has gone, you know. And while they were taking back refreshments, to those in the first scenario that was waiting on the refreshment, they had a automobile that just wasn't working right. It wasn't going anywhere, and they just could not have delivered the transport. It was not a workable vehicle. So those that were waiting on the refreshments just didn't receive it at all. And the Lord would have said to me about this particular scenario, I believe, is that what people are using as their mode of execution to execute the gospel is not working, and they're still trying to make effort to get that working, and that is not what God gave you to get the operation done. You have to leave that old car the side of the road and use the methods that work, that is workable, to get the things that is necessary to those that need it. And it's like the Lord used that last scenario and the first scenario to make another scenario. And these persons that were given the responsibility to evangelize, because they were like more the mobile ones, the ones that were to move and to go, their mode of execution was not effective because they weren't reaching anybody. They just end up with all the refreshments on their hand, and those that were waiting were just waiting there and just receiving nothing. So in all these scenarios, it had to do with time and a wedding. a marriage to come. And I remember the parable that Jesus quoted in Matthew 22, where he said a king was having a wedding feast for his son, and he sent out his servants, and he bid those on the highway, tell them, come to the wedding feast of my son. Some said, I have to go here, I have to do this. He sent out more servants, some they hold and beat, some they kill. And he sent out again and got an invitation. He called those far and wide. He said, go all over, call them. And the time came when the wedding feast was ready to start, and things start rolling. And the king went through, I'm just paraphrasing here, the king went through to see his guests and these things, and he saw a man there not having on a wedding garment. And he said, friend, how come you come in here not having on a wedding garment? And the guy was speechless. And he said, take him and cast him out into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Jesus said, many are called. In this parable, he said, many are called, few are chosen. And many misquote this scripture, and they tend to think, well, it's all about someone's giftings, what they are called to, and their ability, and how they are, they may be a pastor, a prophet, a apostle, and they may relate it to that. But it really means many. This many is all men. Christ died for all men, and Christ bid all to come. It is not his will that any should perish. He said, come, I'm having a wedding feast. That many there is all. And he says, many are called, but few are chosen. Those that will be chosen are those who have on a wedding garment. You have to be ready. The Lord is saying, in the midst of all this confusion, all this pandemic, all who want to do this and who want to do that, who want to clamp down here and lock down there and lock down, whether it be president, king, queen, Lord, whoever you deem yourself to be, terrorist, what? If you're not ready, know this, time going. One day your life would expire. It's appointed unto man once to die. After this, the judgment. Time is going. And everyone is called to this wedding feast. But guess what? If you don't have a wedding garment, if you're not ready, trust me, as Jesus said in his parable, he said it, I'm just quoting after him. You'd be cast into outer darkness, and surely there would be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Time is going. In the midst of all of this, time is going. What you do with your time is important. Utilize your time wisely. Don't spend time at the sideline heckling people, discouraging people, and making your life useless. Put your tools to use. Don't just sit down in the pews and waiting to be fed. Right now, church lock up. Where you can do? Sit down in. You say, down home, still doing nothing. Do what God called you to do. If you're not sure, go before him constantly, before he, and believe him until he lay it upon your heart. Talk to him and utilize your time, your life on this earth well. Don't be found without a wedding garment. This I believe that the Lord is saying, especially to his body, the church, and to the world at large, to all of humanity. If you want to play terrorist all the days of your life, you're wasting time. If you want to play tyrant all the days of your life, you're wasting time. You want to play bad boy, bad girl. You want to live your life anyhow and say, it ain't no God. You want to do this. You want to be atheist, whatever. Trust me, time going, and as the saying go, time will tell. tick, tock, tick, tock. And it can be total darkness. Time is going.